Welcome to Foundational You, where we dive into the habits, mindsets, and actions that help you build the best version of yourself. Today, we are sharing the methods necessary for mapping out the path to the greatest you, not someone else's path, but yours. Because if there's one universal truth to the world, it's that no two journeys look the same. The road to becoming the best version of you is full of twists, turns, and yes, a lot of trial and error. Self-awareness, understand your needs. Before you can map out the path to greatness, you need to know exactly where you're starting from. That's where self-awareness comes in. Think of it as your compass. You can't chart a course without understanding your starting point. What motivates you? What slows you down? You need to know your landscape, your strengths, weaknesses, passions, energy cycles, and yes, even the struggles of your environment. Imagine you're about to hike a mountain. You wouldn't just start walking without knowing the landscape, right? Some paths are steep and require strength, while others are longer but more manageable. The same goes for your habits. Some people find peace in meditation, others thrive by jumping straight into action. You have to understand your own terrain before you can make a map that works for you. Sarah had always believed that waking up at 5 a.m. for a morning run was the key to success. After all, that's what all the productivity gurus seem to swear by. So, she forced herself out of bed before the sun rose, lacing up her running shoes and hitting the pavement while the world was still quiet. But for Sarah, every step felt like she was trudging through quicksand. She was tired, uninspired, and eventually, she hit a wall of burnout. It wasn't until Sarah took a step back to reflect that she realized something important. Her natural energy didn't peak at the crack of dawn. In fact, her body felt most energized later in the morning. On top of that, her early runs were being disrupted by her environment, constant household noise, busy streets during the morning rush, and the stress of trying to squeeze in exercise before a long workday. Once Sarah adjusted her schedule to better align with her natural rhythm and environment, everything started to click. She shifted her runs to mid-morning, and suddenly, what once felt like a draining chore became something she actually looked forward to. Her energy levels improved, her workouts became more enjoyable, and consistency came easily. By following her own map, tailored to her specific needs, Sarah was able to navigate around unnecessary obstacles, instead of forcing herself through them. Experimentation, testing what works. Now that you've mapped out your starting point through self-awareness, it's time to start testing different routes. This is the phase of exploration. Just like explorers charting unknown lands, you're going to hit dead ends, encounter rough terrain, and sometimes, you'll have to double back and try another path. That's okay. This is where the trial and error part of your journey comes in. Experimentation is about testing different habits, routines, and strategies. Try something new, see how it fits into your map, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. In fact, expect some detours. Not every path is meant for you, and that's part of the process. Remember, each misstep or wrong turn is still progress. It's helping you identify what doesn't work, which gets you closer to what does. James was determined to become the best version of himself, so he dove headfirst into every habit he'd read about. He tried journaling, took up yoga, started meal prepping, and even braved cold showers because he had heard they worked wonders for others. For months, James felt like an explorer, navigating through the wilderness of self-improvement, testing different paths in the hope that one would lead him to his goals. Some habits, like meal prepping, quickly became part of his daily routine. It fit seamlessly into his lifestyle, giving him more energy and freeing up time during the week. But other habits, like yoga, felt more like a chore than a source of peace. Every session seemed forced, draining him rather than inspiring him. The cold showers? Well, those were just a shock to his system, and after a while, he knew they weren't making any positive difference in his life. After a few months of trial and error, James came to an important realization: not every path was meant for him. Some things, like meal prepping, stuck and improved his life, while others, like yoga and cold showers, didn't. But instead of seeing this as a failure, James recognized it as part of the process. He wasn't aimlessly wandering anymore, his map was becoming clearer, and with each adjustment, he was zeroing in on the habits that truly worked for him. Just like any great mapmaker, you'll face detours and dead ends, but every step gets you closer to a clearer path. Experiment with different tools and routines. Keep what works, and leave behind what doesn't, because your map to greatness is going to be uniquely yours. Consistency, the key to long-term success. At this point, you've charted your path and figured out what works for you. But here's the reality: even the best map won't get you anywhere unless you keep moving forward. This is where so many people hit a wall: consistency. It's easy to get excited about a new habit or routine, but the key to long-term success is sticking with it, even when the novelty wears off. Consistency is about taking regular, intentional steps on the journey to greatness. But here's where another common roadblock appears: paralysis by analysis. Sometimes, we get so caught up in analyzing every little detail of our plan that we end up stuck in place, afraid to take the next step. We obsess over whether we're doing everything perfectly, questioning every move. Should I tweak my morning routine? Am I following the best strategy? This overthinking can freeze you in place, keeping you from actually moving forward. Think of consistency as the steady footsteps that carry you along your mapped-out journey. You don't need to sprint or leap over mountains every day. It's about making progress, even if it's just one small step. The journey to greatness is not about giant leaps, it's about reliable, steady progress. And if you overanalyze every step, you risk getting stuck staring at the map instead of walking the path. Maria had always been passionate about the stock market, but as a junior stockbroker in a large firm, she often felt overshadowed by her more experienced colleagues. She knew she had potential, but finding the time to research and build her expertise felt impossible between her daily responsibilities. So, instead of trying to overhaul her life overnight, Maria committed to something small but consistent: 10 minutes of research every morning, focusing on social arbitrage investing. Social arbitrage investing was a niche strategy that involved identifying opportunities in the market based on trends and shifts in consumer behavior. Maria had read about its potential but knew she needed to dive deeper to really master the strategy. For months, she dedicated those 10 minutes each day to reading about market trends, following consumer behavior patterns, and understanding how social trends affected stock prices. It didn't seem like much at first, but as she kept at it, those 10 minutes began to accumulate into a wealth of knowledge. One day, Maria noticed a sudden spike in online conversations and social media posts about a new health trend: plant-based alternatives to meat. She dug deeper and found that certain companies producing plant-based food products were gaining rapid consumer interest, but their stock prices hadn't yet caught up to the trend. Armed with weeks of research, Maria approached her boss with a bold idea: invest in these companies now, before the stock prices skyrocketed. Initially skeptical, her boss gave her a small portfolio to test her theory. Within a few months, her predictions were spot on, consumer demand surged, and the stocks followed, significantly outperforming other investments in the portfolio. Maria's consistent research paid off. Her boss was impressed, and soon, she was given more autonomy and larger portfolios to manage. She wasn't promoted because of a single breakthrough. Her rise was a result of those steady, daily efforts, that 10 minutes of research every morning, which compounded into expertise and, ultimately, success. Maria's story wasn't about dramatic change, but about small, consistent actions mapping out her path to the top of her field. Consistency doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to be steady. Remember, a map is useless unless you keep walking the path. Don't get trapped in analysis mode, tweaking and perfecting every detail. Sometimes, the most important thing you can do is just keep moving. Even if it's just one step a day, keep going, and over time, those small steps will lead you to places you never thought possible. Reflection, learning from your journey. An often overlooked, yet crucial, part of this journey is reflection. Just like explorers periodically check their maps and adjust their course, you need to pause and reflect on your own progress. Reflection isn't about dwelling on mistakes, it's about taking a step back and asking yourself, what's working? What isn't? How do I feel physically, mentally, and emotionally? Reflection is your way of making sure you're still on the right path, or if a new route might serve you better. Think of it this way, even the best maps need updates as the terrain changes, and so do your habits and routines. Reflection helps you assess the landscape you're currently in, and whether the route you're taking is still leading you to the best version of yourself. David had always been passionate about fitness, and after years of on and off workouts, he decided to take things seriously. He committed to a new routine, lifting weights 5 times a week. At first, it was exhilarating. He could feel the strength building in his muscles, he was hitting personal bests in the gym, and his confidence was growing with every session. Each week, he pushed harder, adding more weight to his lifts and spending longer hours at the gym. But after a few months, something changed. Instead of feeling stronger, David began feeling constantly fatigued. His muscles were sore all the time, and his energy levels dipped. He would wake up feeling exhausted, and his motivation to keep up with the intense routine started to fade. No matter how hard he worked, the progress he had been making began to plateau, and he felt like he was hitting a wall. It wasn't until David took a step back to reflect on his routine that he realized something critical: his body wasn't getting enough recovery. He had been so focused on pushing forward, he didn't notice that he was overtraining. His muscles needed more time to repair, and his energy reserves were running on empty. So, David made a decision. Instead of pushing through the fatigue, he adjusted his routine. He reduced his gym sessions to 3 days a week and added more rest days. He also incorporated light stretching and mobility work to help his muscles recover. Almost immediately, David noticed a change. His energy came back, and when he returned to the gym, he felt stronger and more refreshed. His progress began to climb again, and he realized that this more balanced approach was exactly what his body needed. Had he not taken the time to reflect, he might have pushed himself into burnout or even injury. By pausing to reassess and adjust, David not only avoided setbacks but also discovered the importance of recovery in building long-term success. Reflection is the check-in that keeps you aligned with your goals and helps you navigate around roadblocks before they become major detours. It's not about perfection, it's about adjusting the course when needed. Just like a seasoned explorer, you need to periodically reevaluate your map, make changes where necessary, and continue moving forward. Personalization, building your unique path. Now, this is where the magic happens. Remember, the goal here isn't to become a carbon copy of someone else's success story. It's to design the best version of you. Just like every map is unique to the landscape it's drawn for, your path to greatness is unique to who you are. What works for someone else might not work for you, and that's perfectly okay. Greatness is personal. You might see your friend crushing a 5 a.m. routine, but that doesn't mean it's the only route to success. Maybe you're someone who finds their creative flow in the afternoon, or you work best during a quiet late-night session. Personalizing your journey is about understanding your strengths, rhythms, and environment, and embracing that your path might look different from anyone else's. The best maps aren't rigid, they're adaptable, built specifically for the terrain they navigate. Your path to greatness will always look different from those around you. Personalization is about trusting your own process and crafting a journey that aligns with your strengths, needs, and goals. When you embrace your unique path, that's when you unlock your true potential. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So as you set out on your journey to become the best version of yourself, remember that the path is uniquely yours. It's built through trial and error, self-awareness, consistency, and reflection. What works for one person may not work for you, and that's part of the beauty of it. The process of figuring it out is what builds strength and resilience. Every day is another chance to tweak, refine, and build a habit that brings you closer to the person you want to be. Don't be afraid to experiment, fail, learn, and grow, because that's what it takes to truly map out your path to the greatest you. Thank you for watching. If you found this video inspiring, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Foundational You for more motivational content. Join our community and take the next step in building the foundation for your success. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell, so you never miss a new video that can help you unlock your full potential. Stay motivated, stay focused, and remember, you have the power to achieve greatness.